Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TB Scouting MMA and
the Guru, back again from Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. We've got Aaron Blanchfield taking on Manon Firo in your flyweight title contender eliminator. I feel comfortable saying it. This is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. But before we can get into this, honestly, sleeper of a good card, I expect a ton of violence. But before that, we will be in attendance at. But before we can get into it, we have an unbelievable guest in the building. You may recognize him driving around in his Lambo. You may recognize him on the World Series of Poker, making people look like fools. Man, this guy hits big ticket after big ticket. Make sure you're following him over on the YouTube channel, Lambo Plays podcast, Narco Cop on Twitter, Narco Cop in the building. Salute to you, sir. How are you?
Thank you for the great intro, man. Appreciate it. I am doing good. I'm happy to be here with you guys, breaking down this Atlantic City card. You guys are probably going there, like you said. You guys are going to have a great time. I always see your Twitter posts. You guys are having at it at these events, so I love to see it. But yeah, let's break this card down and see what we can give the people.
I love it so much. And before we can break it down, got to give a shout out to the people, man. Daz, you know what it is. Narco is one of the best guests ever. That's without a doubt. Yeah, Guru, we're going to need to talk about some of these parlay ideas you have sometimes, but we'll get there, Shady. I appreciate you. Mushroom, appreciate you always being ahead of the likes in the comments. Lou Betcha, this man, he's got a correspondent now on Twitter, so he's getting the word out from jail. Make sure you're following that. Yeah, maybe we'll see you Saturday, brother. We'll see. And yeah, man, loving the head clashes and the main event could be fun. Shout out to Phantom Punch Breakdowns, aka Ghost. And yeah, man, we got Narco in the building. So what you guys all came for is amazing breakdowns. All we ask you before we get started, please throw a like on the video. It costs you nothing. And subscribe to the channel. Also, costs you nothing. Donation, that's up to you. We're not begging for it. But listen, we're going to get down to business here because we got an awesome main event. We're going to be in the building. Floor seats. Let's get after it. We got cold-blooded Aaron Blanchfield versus the Beast, Manon Fiorot. So minus 185 now on Blanchfield, plus 154 on the Beast. I mean, this fight opened up closer to like a pick'em line, right? Guru out here sniping minus 130s from, well, make sure you're following him on Twitter if you're on the Blanchfield side here. But the question is, what are we getting into in the breakdown here? I mean, quite frankly, Aaron Blanchfield, she's willing to get into a stand-up battle from distance in the beginning of a fight. And when it becomes clear she needs to get to the wrestling, man, does she ever. So the question is, how long does it take her to decide, you know what? I'm tired of standing and banging in the pocket. We're just going to get, into the takedowns, into the clinch, shooting, get into her bread and butter in the grappling. Aaron Blanchfield, how long does it take you to get there? Because Manon Fiorot, she is really good at managing the range and distance. But are those push kicks, are those side kicks really going to be the best weapon in this matchup? I don't know, man. So I keep going back and forth. I feel like early in this fight, the size, the athleticism, the footwork, the technical striking to keep people at range and keep circling. I mean, Fiorot is going to be really hard to corral in the large octagon in the first 10 minutes of this fight. Now, we've seen her slow down a few times against people that can put on the pace and pressure. I mean, we've seen the likes of Jennifer Maia land, a takedown. We've seen a head kick landed by Jennifer Maia. We've seen people push Fiorot to the edge, like Rose Namajunas winning round 3 in her last matchup. So the question here is as we're looking at a 5-round fight in a title eliminator, what happens here as we get into rounds 3, 4, and 5? And that's where I think, listen, I know Blanchfield might struggle to get this thing to the mat early. And her fight against Tracy Cortez, I mean, that's as close as a back and forth as you can get against another athletic wrestler. I just feel like the longer this thing goes, if Blanchfield isn't, out cold by that point, that she's going to start putting on the pace and pressure. It's just, I can't recommend taking a minus 185 line before the fight. I just don't think Fiorot is the right side. So I feel like a fight that's destined to go the distance, I don't think Blanchfield's striking is really that big of a downgrade overall. Like her offensive game, using it to kind of step through, get into these takedown situations, the clinch, like she's really good at threading together her striking into level changes. So I think Blanchfield has a chance to get things where she wants it sooner than later, but she is the smaller fighter here. So I'd be looking to get in on this live. Round 1, round 2, I think I'm going to get a much better line on Blanchfield, kind of like what Guru is getting over there at the opener. So I appreciate his work here. I just I didn't feel confident enough to lay it at the time. But Guru, what are you thinking in this spot, man, as I ruin all of your CLV?
No, listen, I ruined CLV just fine on my own. I have a ton of CLV tickets that sit in the trash. So, I can take that participation trophy, wherever I want to, but it doesn't mean anything until the bet cashes. So yes, I do have a fairly large 7-unit ticket on Erin Blanchfield at -130. And, I felt that line, I felt fairly comfortable with that. Obviously, as this line continues to balloon up, it becomes harder to recommend that play because I think TB touched on a lot of the things I think are fair. Erin Blanchfield's success rate at takedowns, throughout her last few fights is fairly concerning, right? Especially if you want to be on the Manon Fiorot side, where her takedown defense has been fairly good at 91%. I mean, then we continue to try to poke holes in honestly both girls' records, right? Oh, this one fought this one fought that. She has never fought a real wrestler. Well, she's fought tailor-made matchups. Like everybody wants to say each one's a step up or whichever. And I honestly think that this fight is why it's so fantastic, because these girls have, Erin Blanchfield undefeated and Manon Fiorot, the one loss in her debut that many feel that she won. So somebody that's just been an absolute beast. And I think TB stated all the things that you need for this fight. Number one, you like Erin Blanchfield at this point, you go in live. You take the live option because I think that there's a fair chance that Manon Fiorot is dominating those rounds 1 and 2. But the fact that this is a 5-round fight is the cherry on top, is the sprinkle that I think is so important. Erin Blanchfield's cardio, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's elite. I think she has a very high level of cardio, and she's not going to stop shooting for takedowns. And let's just be fair. Talia Santos's defensive grappling is better than Manon Fiorot's. It is. So I like Erin Blanchfield -130. I understand anybody playing Manon Fiorot at this number, but I think you got to play her by KO at +550. Because the prop I like on Erin Blanchfield is round 4-5 decision at +140. Gives me a chance to get in that late submission if possible, that little Lambo ticket, or the decision, which could quite be possible if Manon has decent defensive grappling but maybe just can't keep it off the ground. Or hell, maybe she's piecing her up to a decision. I just don't see that as the most likely outcome. Super excited to hear what Narco Cop's got.
Yeah, I think you guys broke this fight down really well. I don't have a bet on this fight at all. To be honest with you, I can't really get a great read just from the fact that, I just saw Blanchfield go 0 for 14 against Santos in takedowns, right? Santos is very physical. Santos, she's a strong girl. She has good striking. So she's a very good fighter overall. And to be honest, I mean, looking back at that fight, it was a pretty damn close fight, against Santos. But I do rank Santos as one of the elite fighters in this division. So it's not like a shot against Blanchfield. Firo, like, that's the thing. It's the takedown defense, right? That's the question here. Like, that's one question for me. The other question is, and I don't even think it's much of a question, I do think she slows down in a big way in round 3, even in some of these other fights. And part of that is, if you watch her fight, right, she's doing these side kicks, the other kick, and she's non-stop motion, right? She's always jumping out, in and out, all over the fucking place. That takes energy. And I think that's part of why she does slow down in round 3. And now, you take all that, and then now you got to stuff, I don't know, 10 plus takedowns here. What's going to happen in 4 and 5? Because I can tell you, like Guru said, I do think Blanchfield's cardio is elite. It's not good, it's elite. And that's the issue for Firo here. Late round props is maybe what I'm going to look at, to be honest, here on Blanchfield. I think as she tires her, takedowns will come a little easier. And once you're tired and you're on the ground against a girl like Blanchfield, who is vicious on top, it could be over there. So I don't want to take the side here. I don't know, but I do know that the cardio is better on one side. I just don't know for sure if she's going to get this fight to the ground or if she takes a lot of damage early and then that affects her later, because I do think Firo in a stand-up fight is kind of a mismatch, honestly, here. So, yeah, it's a pass overall. If I had to take one side, I'd probably take Blanchfield because it's a 5-rounder. And obviously the big grappling edge if it hits the ground. So, yeah, not much. I can't really give you much, but I like late round props, honestly, on Blanchfield.
I love that. And one of the things that, again, and I'm not necessarily known for my technical breakdowns of it, of even fights in general, but my thought is right, Manon Fiorot, the kickboxer, right? You're going to be off balance throwing all those kicks, and you're going to throw high kicks at a high pace. Doesn't that leave openings for takedowns to be off balance? Like even more so than somebody like, again, Talia Santos, who is clinching and brutal striking in a pocket. So I just think it's a difference of styles.
Yeah, New Jersey versus France, the classic battle. This is what the people have spoke about as a classic tale of time. And yeah, I mean, Tyler is really tough and physical too in her own right. Like I think they're different types of fighters, but her grappling is better. And I mean, she's also huge. So listen, even if Blanchfield's landing cage control and tiring out Firo, I think that plays into her favor. So we broke down the hell out of this fight. And yeah, round 3, 4, and 5 props. Let's get it, baby. Narco with the great calls as always. So we're moving on.
We got PC Strickland in the building.
What up, PC Strickland?
We wish we were seeing you this weekend, brother. And then we got Phantom Punch. Fiorot also makes bad decisions when she's tired. Honestly, who doesn't make bad decisions when they're tired?
Yeah, so do I. I generally make my worst decisions when I'm
cranky,
tired.
Right? Like that's just a bad decision.
All right, so we got the silent assassin Vicente Luque versus Numansa. Joaquin Buckley. He's like the guru. He learned his secret ways. Oh boy, hit enter by accident on my keyboard. I would like to apologize to the people out there. But anyways, we got minus 118 Luque. We got minus 102 Joaquin Buckley. Gonna ask Guru. Yeah, there you go. You're looking. So we got over 2.5 at plus 130, under 2.5 at minus 166. I feel like with Vicente Luque here, he doesn't want to get into a brawl like he used to. He doesn't want to exchange and open up. And I think he'd much rather clinch and grapple at this stage. I think that's kind of what I'm seeing from Luque overall. And, I just think either we're going to see Joaquin Buckley pull off an exciting finish or damage Luque enough over – it's 3 rounds, right? That's why it's, right? I'm not messing up. It's not a co-main in 5. So over 3 rounds here, Joaquin Buckley, I think, could easily win 2 of them with damage because he's going to be the more willing guy to throw in exchanges at this point. But, I mean, his defense could just be an issue. And also, the fact of the matter is that Vicente Luque has fought a lot better fighters in his career. But when Joaquin Buckley was dog money, seemed worth the shot because Luque is going to be trying to wrestle and grapple here. That's going to be his safest path to victory, given his historical information. The brain bleed, RDA is putting it on him within the last couple minutes of their 5-round fight. Like, Joaquin Buckley won't necessarily wait that long. I don't think he's going to make offensive wrestling his go-to game plan too soon. So I like Buckley here, just the hungrier fighter at this stage and the guy that's going to be willing to get in exchanges. But, man, also, going back and watching, Chris Curtis bonk him, why couldn't Luque? You get overzealous and it's left hook Larry, right? I mean, I'm not going to put it out of the question that Luque could knock out Buckley like he has been before. But I thought at the dog money and just like the younger, hungrier guy, the one that I really think it's going to be Buckley time. So that's where my pick is. That's where my play is. But would I be shocked to see it go the other way? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, Vicente Luque, the hometown guy, right? Everybody thinks he's half Brazilian, but he's also from New Jersey. So he has strong ties to New Jersey. I would expect the crowd to possibly cheer for him in a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect. We were able to get Joaquin Buckley at I got him at plus 125, so I've got a couple units on that. I certainly like Joaquin at plus money, and then of course it's easy too. at Pick'em, it does become a little bit more tough. Vicente Luque has absolutely been a killer throughout his career. I mean, fought the best of the best and gives a chance to somebody like Joaquin Buckley. I saw, again, Phantom Punch, Ghost. Ghost says that Buckley has no technical depth when he's entering his process. He's either not attacking or he's on a straight line. I think that's fair, but I also think that after you watch that Alex Morono fight, Morono's such an awkward fighter, difficult fighter to read, you have to admit that Buckley's process has gotten a lot better. I mean, he looked much better in that fight. Maybe it was a matchup thing, but I also think that Alex Morono is somebody similar to Vicente Luque that doesn't really enjoy being hit as much anymore. Vicente Luque needed to grapple versus RDA to win that fight. He wasn't necessarily winning the striking exchanges on the feet. And that's problematic because I think Joaquin Buckley is the one that could mix up the takedowns like we were hoping RDA was going to. Joaquin Buckley is the one that has physical takedown accuracy, right? I mean, his offensive wrestling is brutal. I'm not saying he has the best top control or anything. I'm not saying he's the best top control or anything like that, but honestly, when control grappling is not scoring, what does score is big slams because that is written in the rule that it's part of a physical damage. So a big slam and then Vicente Luque has to fight back up, get tired. I don't know. I just kind of like Joaquin Buckley's, like you said, TV, maybe heart. I guess it's tough to like his cardio more, but I just think I like his work rate a little bit more at this stage. Am I crazy, Narco?
No, I mean, there's a lot of sharp people I know that are on Buckley, and this line has come crashing down. But when I go over tape, man, there's something that sticks out a lot to me here in this fight. Everybody referenced the Jeff Neal fight, right? And I get it. Luque did not look good there. He got dropped many times. He defensively, he kind of looked very bad, right? But he does the same thing defensively all the time. He has his high guard, and his hands are to the side, right? Which they're supposed to be. But the issue with that against Jeff Neal is all his punches are straight, right down the middle. And so he's jabbing you straight. His straight left hand is an absolute fucking piston. And he just kept landing that straight left over and over and over again. And obviously that damaged Luque pretty bad. And we saw that. The difference between Buckley and Neal is Buckley loops his punches. He does not throw them straight. And I think that's the problem here because, Luque has that high guard. Like, you're not going to land those looping punches on him. You need to come up straight down the middle, and that's just not how Buckley throws his punches. Now, you did reference a little bit of the takedown stuff. I also saw him go for a takedown, almost get guillotined against Morono. And guess what? Luque has some of the nastiest front chokes if you get you stuck there. So, maybe Buckley shoots a takedown, but even if he does, I don't think it's an easy takedown against Luque, to be honest. And then again, you can get yourself stuck in one of those darces, guillotines. On the feet, I honestly favor Luque, man. I know Buckley, is athletic. He's probably going to have the speed advantage, but Luque has the more technical striking acumen here, in my opinion. Yeah. So, Buckley's all athleticism, explosion, in and out. I agree with you guys on that end. But at the end of the day, I think both these guys are extremely durable, man. I don't think, looking at Luque, everybody's like, oh, maybe he's shot. But this guy's only been knocked out once in 33 or 32 professional fights. And he's fought absolutely everybody. So can Buckley land like a haymaker or something, maybe put him out? Possibly. But it took Jeff Neal a lot of straight left hands before he finished him. He's just not an easy guy to just one punch and get him out of there, right? So I have a bet on Luque by decision. I think that line's crazy. Yeah. Plus 500 on Luque by decision. I don't see why. I mean, look at them historically. Who has the better volume of these two guys? It's Luque by far. And for some reason, his decision prop is plus 500. Buckley is very hard to kill. We know that. It's got to be like some big head kick or some crazy to kill this guy. So At the end of the day, I think fight probably goes to decision. I think those are even generous lines, to be honest. I think both guys are very durable. Buckley, we just saw Morono go to decision. And okay, Morono's tough, but I wouldn't put him in Vicente Luque tough. So, yeah, I like overs here, honestly. I think both guys are super tough, super durable. Plus 500 Luque decision is bonkers to me.
You know, it's so funny that you said that because in my notes, I have written fight goes the distance as a play because I feel like I just think that Buckley's power is what's going to shy Vicente off, and that's what's going to score. But to your point, I'm not sold on a Buckley knockout. Like I don't love that. I kind of love fading the narrative here, and this fight I think goes to decision. I like that at plus 170. So hell, if you like Vicente Luque, why not? I do like that play.
Yeah, this is kind of where I feel like there's an intangible to this fight where you don't hear about many guys needing to be cleared by an independent neurologist after a brain bleed and having like ringside people on stand in case during his fight and telling them that they need to stop it.
Is that for every fight, or is that for every fight moving forward, or just this last one?
Listen, I'm guessing if you had to get cleared for that stuff, it's going to be a few fights before they take away those type of recommendations. I'm just saying there's a reason.
I wouldn't just assume though. We should probably find out.
Well, we didn't find out until after the fact last time.
All right. Well,
that basically it was like if RDA got even close to like a finish that they were supposed to call off the fight, like to protect Luque. That was like written in, like told to the refs or the commission ahead of time. So that's why it's not minus 300 Luque. Yeah, sure. And another time it's like, well, Buckley gets boxed up by Holland, gets boxed up, whatever. But he's also coming down to 170 where Luque just beat up on an old RDA that should have never left 155. So we broke down this one enough. We got the All-American Chris Weidman versus Blindado Bruno Silva. This one, it's like, is this punishment for Chris Weidman just refusing to retire? I really feel like Dana's like, dude, like retire. Like you're going to fight this guy that's just an absolute. I mean, listen, has everyone been able to take down Bruno Silva that's tried in the past? Sure. But when you look at the entries that Chris Weidman's using on Brad Tavares, oh, and he suffered more leg fractures in that fight, by the way. Just recovering from another broken leg. No big deal. No big deal. The brittle Chris Weidman with 6 knockout losses. Oh, I'm sorry. He fractured his leg kicking someone. That still counts as him fucking falling apart in the middle of a fight. What the fuck are you putting your money on Chris Weidman in the God's year 2024? He might be a great guy. He's on the UFC weigh-in shows. I'm happy he came back from the broken leg. He didn't expect Brad Tavares to leg kick him. Do you have mental illness also, apparently, if you don't think the guy's going to target your leg after you. I just have big issues.
He's still my boy.
All right, and here's the thing: like he can still be your boy. He can still totally somehow submit Bruno Silva in this spot. Like that's not outside the realm of possibility. Am I willing to put my money on it? God damn it, no. I thought I'm trying to learn something here.
But Chris Weidman by sub is plus 850 though.
God damn it. Maybe it's worth the sprinkle. Maybe it's worth the sprinkle. If you're playing
Grandma's
you
couch,
might as well hedge. So ultimately, it's like they probably have the line priced correctly, given like a washed and broken goods perspective. And yeah, I mean, I know he said like, oh, you can't force me to retire, but then like he talks about potentially retiring after this matchup. So
no, he's going to retire after this matchup.
He's fighting close to home. He's fighting close to home with all of his family in his corner, like his old.
If
coach,
he somehow wins, he's going to push his way onto the MSG card in November.
I'm fighting Israel Adesanya for the 185 title, and you can't stop me. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'll pass it off.
Oh my God. The fight I always wanted to see. I wanted to see him fight Luke Rockhold again. That would be awesome. I think you've played this fight 2 ways, right? I think it's dart throws or as Narco calls them, Lambo plays, right? I like, and this is not a Lambo play at all because I'm not good at this. You got Bruno Silva by KO in round 1 or 2 on FanDuel plus 105. And then otherwise you've got, like I said, Chris Weidman by sub plus 850. I mean, I think you take shots on this fight and that's it. Because if Bruno Silva does not knock out Chris Weidman early, again, guy has 20 wins by knockout and 14 of them are in round 1. Right. I think I really do feel like he's fairly dependent to get it done in round 1. If this fight starts to extend out, I do not expect the 23-fight veteran with only 3 decision wins to actually get it done. I really do like Chris as it starts to get hairy. The problem is does it get there? And I'm not super convinced at all that it does. So we're going to be picking Bruno, and I do kind of like the odds on my round 1, round 2 KO. But would I be shocked if this skirted its way to a decision? No, Chris just did it last time. Everybody thought he was going to get knocked out round 1, and he made his way.
Bradley's not finishing anybody at this stage.
I know. Bradley doesn't finish anybody, but people still thought it was going to happen.
He still broke his leg. He still broke his leg.
Is that on me? Sorry.
Wee woo, wee woo.
Oh, I didn't even hear. Sorry. Yeah, man. I like Chris Weidman here. I played Chris Weidman at plus 225. So I listened to his interview with who was that? I think Ariel Helwani or something. I don't remember who it was, but I listened to that interview, and I don't try to take too much from interviews unless I can feel like they're actually being genuine and stuff like that. So obviously you'll never know for sure, but he did say that for the first time in a very, very, very long time, his knees feel great. He said, I could push off of them. I didn't feel soreness. And it all goes back to, I guess, some Indian doctor he mentioned that messaged him and said, hey, I have something for you. I have something for joints or whatever the hell it was that he gave him. And he said, after the second day he took those pills and he went to training, he said he absolutely felt different in his knees. That's what he said. I'm taking it kind of on face value by not too much. But what I will say is I do think his chin is pretty damn good, in my opinion. I know people are kind of bashing him for his chin. But, if you go back and look at how he's been knocked out, it's not really like a one-punch knockout. The guy's been taking knees, a lot of damage, stuff like that. And then eventually he succumbs, ground and pound, stuff like that, right? Can Bruno Silva knock him out? I'm sure he can. But can Bruno Silva get taken down and absolutely mauled? Absolutely he can. And if Chris Weidman, everybody's going back to this Tavares fight. Well, the guy got his leg chopped off in round 1. What's he going to do after that? Like, he cannot wrestle. And what I will give him is he still came forward. He still threw punches. He switched southpaw. He tried to do everything he can to win that fight. He came up short, fine. But I'm looking back at Silva, and this guy never fucking throws kicks. So I'm not really worried about him chopping his leg off, because I think the most I've seen him throw in one fight is 11 kicks. Like, this guy just does not kick, right? He's all hands. And we're talking about a guy in Chris Weidman who's 39 at this point. Yes, he's definitely not in his prime. But the guy clearly has a grappling edge in this fight. He's got a jiu-jitsu edge in this fight. I mean, plus 225, Silva's just not a guy you want to lay minus 230 with. He really isn't. And I'm going to take my shot here. He did say, Chris Weidman, for the record, said, I am not retiring this fight because when I went to train for this fight, this is the best I've ever felt. He goes, so from that training just tells me win or lose, I am not retiring, he said. That's what he said. So take it for what it's worth.
Wow.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm never going to hate on anybody taking a plus 2 something on a former champion.
And you're right. Bruno Silva has 6 minutes of fight in him, and then he's just not. Like, the Alex Pereira fight is such an outlier, is such an anomaly. Like, that's just not him. So I just don't see it.
Look at what Mearshart did to him on the feet later in that fight. It's embarrassing. He dropped him or hurt him really bad and then subbed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was his first fight post Pereira, and generally after taking like generational damage, you're a little not the same the next fight. But I do agree, Bruno Silva's not necessarily the guy that you should be running at and parlaying. So to my surprise, as Guru texted me at work today, hey, I have the best parlay ever, and I go ahead and I'm like, all right, sounds good. And then as the day goes on, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still not picking Chris Weidman. I'm not going to take the dog shot. But at the same time, it's like, what am I doing laying an AIDS parlay? Like, hold on. Let me just go back to the top here.
You want to tell the people what the AIDS parlay is?
Shady, I think you're right, because the AIDS parlay that I get throughout the day, it's Bruno Silva. And what's the other? I can't even remember what I did at this point. Like, what did we do, Guru?
Oh, we did it good. We always do it good. Come on. You know how we do. Who did I play? I don't even remember. I played, the inconsistent Jamal Emers.
Oh, God. Well, it really is an AIDS parlay. You're really,
Yeah,
this kind of like the Edmund and what's her name? The Zelezniakova last week is the parlay I was thinking of. Like, if you really
well,
want
it hits, it gives you AIDS and it hits anyway.
Narco, I'm sorry. Was I ignoring you there? What were you trying to get into?
No, I wanted to say we've seen Bruno Silva shit the bed really bad.
Yeah.
Being a huge favorite. I mean, the Mearshart fight, he was like minus 300. And he absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah, 100%.
Damn. Well, if nothing else, there is a lesson to be had, and I'm gonna have to learn that lesson by losing like $3 on a cash out. But I gotta fucking do it. It's just I'm literally.
Wow, you're gonna
stupid.
cash out?
Yeah, dude, I don't give a shit. Out. It's stupid. It's stupid.
You're not gonna cash out. You're a pussy. You're not gonna cash out. No, you're not.
Bro, is it not learning a lesson over time?
Dude, if you cash out, you pick Chris Weidman. That's what you're effectively doing. Yes.
No, because Jamal Emers can still drop the bag for you. It's legitimately AIDS. It legitimately, you're trying to infect yourself, sir. The more that you texted me at work, I was like, oh my God, gotta get in while it's still plus money. And I'm like, why?
You said, and I quote, I need some AIDS.
Damn it, that is exactly what I said. I knew what I was getting into. Oh God, this is terrible. Kiwi, appreciate you. Kiwi is the only member of Chronic Combat Conversations channel. Got to give a shout out to where it's due. This man donating on a regular basis to the boys. Appreciate you donating Grandma's couch cushions, because we're going to need all the help we can get. We're moving on to the next fight here. Oh my God, this is it. This is all I've been preparing for. So
this is awesome.
All right, I forgot to change. This was Cameron Simon's page. So Cedricus Dumas instead of SD or whatever his nickname is. It's still MSP.
It's the Reaper. That's fine.
It's the Reaper. Cedricus Dumas. So I messed up that. But the more important thing is we have Nursultan Black Rusev, or better, Lil Rusivert. What do the people think? I think we got something.
I think you didn't write it because you're a puss. Why didn't you write it?
No, I mean, I wanted to put his real nickname and then just say it. Like, because that's his actual nickname on UFC Stats. How crazy is that? I don't get it. Anyways, you've got, and Cedricus Dumas, when he was in Saudi Arabia last time, there's pictures of him like wearing turbans and shit. So you have the guy who's nicknamed Black, who's from Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, and then you have Cedricus Dumas wearing turbans. They're trying to steal each other's identities. I'm just saying. Ultimately, though, the thing is, like, I feel Rusev is truly round one or bust here. I mean, maybe it's under 1.5 or bust. Because, sure, Dumas has shown us that he could be a dumbass. That's definitely the truth. But at the same time, he has shown us that, I mean, he's got some good size and athleticism for the division. And if he falls into top control with, let me tell you, Rusev is all about giving up top control. He doesn't necessarily make it difficult. So Dumas could legitimately luck into top control. He can land some calf kicks maybe. But, you know, maybe Rusev catches the calf kick again. Just like he does on the regional. Just like he does against Bruno Ferreira. So if Rusev is getting into this fight, basically what the guy likes doing is throwing looping crazy shit on the feet, weird spinning shit. And then if he goes to get taken down, he just kind of accepts it. Then he starts working the Kimura trap. And then next thing you know, he's reversing it. And then the other guy stands up. Then the same thing happens for 15 minutes. Or he's getting the sketchiest armbar you've ever seen in round one. I just don't understand the... Listen, I mean, we're talking about Bruno Silva's odds. I don't get Nursultan Rusev odds here, minus 218. You've got a guy in Dumas that I know he shit the bed in his debut, but do you know how many blunts that guy was smoking pre-fight? I mean, like, don't use blunts, guys. It's not good for you.
Joints are
bad for the lungs. It's bad for the lungs. But anyways, you know, he seemed at least to be able to go 15 minutes using a wrestling approach, using a high output striking approach versus a Zaitar. In Saudi Arabia, he gets a decision. So take for that what you, or Abu Dhabi, take for that what you will. But I think Black here, I mean, it could be black on black crime. But at the end of the day, it could be, it could be a round one finish for Rusev. But at the end of the day, it could just be SD Dumas riding out a disgusting decision. And I'm going to take the shot. We got Dumas at like plus 250, plus 230, plus 250. It was a nice line. It was a nice line.
Yeah, we got in there. Listen, I'm rolling with the dog here. I feel like instead of the Weidman fight, I feel like this is the big dog that gets it done. And listen, I could absolutely be wrong, and they could both get it done. Neither could get it done. I like Dumas because I just feel from what I saw on tape. I mean, I feel like TV already said it. Like Nursultan, all he does is pull. He just pulls for the Kimura. Like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He doesn't have good takedown defense. His striking is good and he's very powerful, but the dude has, I'm looking at it now, he's got over 18 round one finishes. He's got 33 wins. I mean, the dude just it's all round one finishes. I have no idea what he looks like extended out. The tape is not there. The competition's not there. It's sketchy. I don't know. I'm looking at that over 1.5. That seems juicy to me because I do like Dumas, and I think it takes a little bit of time, and that's where I think Dumas really infects some of his damage. Problems I did see on the Dumas side. His first 30 seconds of his last fight versus
unfurl scroll.
Friend, but it's Zaitar. He's fighting versus Zaitar. Zaitar catches his kick and puts him down with a takedown. Nursultan just did that in his last fight and killed Bruno Ferreira. So don't want that to happen. And yeah, I didn't really like Cedricus on the feet necessarily versus Zaitar as much. It was kind of a little too even. I really wanted him to wrestle more. So maybe he'll do that here. I think he'll show a willingness to do it, but at the dog shot, I got to take it. So give me Cedricus as the dog. Give me the over too. Why not? I'll take a bunch of dog tickets. Try to double up my money. Narco, what do you like?
Yeah, man. A lot of people are in Dumas. My goodness. And this line actually is crashing here. I said it earlier. I was looking, and let's see where it's at now. Let's even see, because it really crashed hard right before I got on this show. Oh, my goodness. It is crashing. Someone laid a bomb on Dumas, it looks like. I don't trust this guy, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't trust Dumas at all. I know Rusev takedown defense looks absolutely shady. His takedown defense is not good, period. Right? But he's like dangerous off his back, man. He's always hunting Kimuras. He's sweeping everybody that get, like, literally he gets fucking mounted or half guard something every damn fight. And he somehow sweeps them all the damn time. He's got these long ass arms, and he just explodes and sweeps everybody. Like watching Dumas, right? Here's my main issue with Dumas, I think, and it's gonna come into play here, is the fact that when I watched a Josh Fremd fight, when Josh Fremd is rocking you multiple times in one fight, it's a really terrible look, man. Because really, Josh Fremd is not that powerful on the feet. And to me, Dumas doesn't like getting hit. It's clear as day to me that he does not like getting punched. It seems like, I mean, the way, just look at how he tapped to that choke against, that was a give up to me. He absolutely gave up. Did not try to fight hands. He just kind of slowly tapped. He was done. Rusev has more dog in him. He's never been finished, I believe, in a ton of fights. Has he been finished? By sub though, right? By sub? Oh, one sub? Okay, thanks for clarifying it. Okay.
One KO and 6 decisions.
So he's been KO'd once and subbed once. I think very long ago though, right? Like in the beginning of his career. I don't remember. It's not recent. The thing to me is one guy has dog in him, one guy has quit in him here. And I think Rusev is going to knock this guy out. And if it doesn't knock him out, he's probably going to sub him. Dumas, to me, is just, he's not a really good fighter, to be honest. You're fighting tooth and nail with a 38-year-old Abu who has 6 minutes of fucking cardio. How is he? I mean, if he doesn't land a head kick in round 3, he might even lose that damn fight. How do you lose round 2 and 3 to Abu? How? It's because the guy sucks. He's not good. So he pulled that front choke off against Penez. If those two guys fought again, Penez would be minus 1,000. Somehow he pulled that choke off against them in Dana White's Contender Series. So, yeah, man, a lot of people shitting on Rizaboyev, but they should be shitting on Dumas because I think this guy's awful. And hopefully he loses and gets cut because he's an awful human being, too, for what he's doing to other people in real life. So,
2014 and 2016, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so way. I mean, 8+ years ago. So yeah. I think Rizaboyev is much more dangerous, has more dog in him.
You're right.
And some of those guys, honestly, in ACA, you guys might know him. I know him. Artem Reznikov is an absolute animal, and he killed him. He knocked him out, and that was years ago. But I'm just pointing out some guys that he's fought that are actually really, really good fighters.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess it depends on, like which tape you're watching and how long ago it is. Guys can make improvements. And certainly it's on the table. Like, I think the Rusev in under 1.5 is something that needs to be done if you're looking to play this fight from a prop perspective, because, you shouldn't be, I wouldn't be upset to see Dumas lose and by violent finish. There's a reason why he doesn't fight men out in the streets, and he definitely doesn't like being hit, is what it looks like. So
I agree with that.
Yeah, pretty bad from that perspective. I won't be rooting from him from a human perspective, but yeah, you know what? There's a couple spots here where it's like you get some CLV, but it's like, is it worth it to cash out on the profit? So anyways, we will move along here. We got Senor Perfecto, Bill Algeo versus the monster, Kyle Nelson. Make sure to check out our recent interview with the monster, Kyle Nelson, a few weeks ago. You can run it back, though. It's still pretty prevalent. But
exactly prevalent. It's the most prevalent right now.
Honestly, I don't think anybody's interviewed him more recently. I'm just saying. So
that's not true. But
all right. Well, I guess some other people got in there. But when we had interviewed Kyle, no one had interviewed him in like 4 or 5 months. So Bill Algeo here, Senor Perfecto, minus 238. I mean, for a fight that's either going to decision, I mean, or Algeo needs to put on, once again, another cardio performance, lose round 1, get hit a couple too many times, but then start gassing out your opponent. Like, Bill Algeo and Billy Q, they have a lot of things in common, let me tell you. But Algeo, I mean, watching him, it's like every step up he takes in fighter and wrestler, he typically ends up disappointing. But then when he gets to TJ Browns, the Herbert Burnses of the world, like, he does what he does. I mean,
did you see that TJ Brown fight? That fight is 50-50 barn burner until he fucking cracks him with the craziest short elbow I've had, one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen, and then he chokes him, and he fucking TJ Brown smiling at Herb Dean. He asked him, "What did he hit you with?" It was wild. But that was dude. He's bloody, bleeding. Like, you shouldn't. I mean, TJ Brown hits hard, but you probably shouldn't be going neck and neck with him.
Yeah, probably not. And TJ Brown, I mean, he's just classically disappointing and a guy who's willing to slow down and get finished. It's like typically, so that's where I see, like, I feel like this fight's going the distance if Bill Algeo's winning, like 95% of the time. Kyle Nelson seems like he's fixed some of his cardio issues. Seems like he's fixed some of his defense issues in the pocket, much more willing to use calf kicks and kind of play at range and not just get into these pocket wars and pressure wars. But Bill Algeo is going to push the pace. So the question is, Kyle Nelson talks about he wants to work the body. He wants to get a round 2 knockout. Make sure you're watching back the full interview for the type of stuff he's been working on in camp. But I think it's going to be real tough for Kyle here to kind of make up the pace differential. And I think it's also going to be damn near impossible for him to finish Bill Algeo, even working the body. I know he's going to be the harder hitter. I know Algeo keeps his hands down. But even if Kyle flat out wins a round and he's able to wrestle heavily or land high volume or, hurt Billy for a little bit, like, Algeo's not going away. And I think typically he should be able to put on the pace, but man, oh man, am I not looking to play minus 238. And in fact, like, I kind of would rather almost play like the fight to be a split decision prop. Like, it's going to be the power versus the pace. And I think the wrestling is going to kind of negate here. I think both, like, Kyle Nelson's a good wrestler. I think you can get him if you start slowing down, but I'm gonna pick Algeo to win the sketchiest decision on output.
Yeah, I like it to go to the decision as well, and I think Kyle really needs to use his power, and I mean he has to put Bill away. I think because at the end of the day, I just think Bill's, as you look at this number, I think Bill's efficiency is just what separates him in this fight, right? His pace and his efficiency. So if this fight, like we all think it is, the bookmaker does, me and TV do, I'm curious to think what Narco thinks. But if everybody agrees that we think it's going the distance, then Bill Algeo is going to be more efficient and have more pace, right, across those 15 minutes. And that is generally what I would expect. So Bill Algeo by decision is plus 125. Kind of like Occam's razor, don't overthink it. But I do love the split decision prop as well. Kyle himself on our, I'll give away the caveat, right? He called a round 2 knockout on our show. So that's a plus 3,100 prop, guys. I mean, that's insane. And listen, I know Bill's never been knocked out. Kyle by knockout by itself is plus 1,000. So
I'd rather take a chance on that than the specific round, to be quite frank.
I put $1 on round 2 and 3 knockout because why the fuck not? $1 to win 30. Yes. Dude, it'll buy me 2 beers at the fucking venue. I'll be so happy. Are you kidding me?
And $1 loss is no sweat off your back. I know you're a hard worker.
None at all. It's literally the couch cushion play that we always talk about, that we always dream about. So Narco, what's the Lambo play? Come on,
There's
man.
no Lambo play, honestly. That's going to be on Friday, but I think this is a terrible matchup for Kyle Nelson, honestly. You don't really want to lay minus 230s with Bill Algeo just because, the guy gets hit, right? He's in the war in every damn fight. That's just, his style, right? Pressure fighter that, you can land volume on, but he's going to land volume on you. But when you look at him historically, right, there's something that sticks out that's probably important. And that's, the guy is losing fights mainly to guys that are grappling him. In every fight that he's lost in the UFC, all those guys have grappled him. I don't think Kyle Nelson can grapple for long because the one thing you'll see with Kyle Nelson is he's more of a technical striker now, right? Kind of like he knew that he gassed before very, very bad. So he doesn't really proactively wrestle anymore at all because if he doesn't land takedowns and he gets stuffed, or he lands takedowns and they get up, which is what Bill Algeo will do in this fight, he's not holding Algeo down, he's going to get tired. So you look back at the one fight that I think how this fight is probably going to play out, go watch the Billy Q fight because Algeo is very, very similar to him. Pressure forward, throw a bunch of fucking crazy volume, and eventually try to break you. He hasn't really broke anybody, to be honest, but yeah, man, I do think this line's accurate, 70, 75% Bill. I think is about right. Kyle Nelson, how does he win? I think he wins a very, very close split decision. I don't think he's finishing Algeo, man. If you watch Joe Anderson Brito land bombs on this guy and can't get him out, I highly doubt Kyle Nelson can get this guy out. So he's like a brick head. It's very, very hard to finish him. And that's a nightmare for Kyle Nelson, a guy that has a ton of cardio, pressures, throws volume, and has durability is kind of like an issue for Kyle Nelson. So, yeah, man, I like Bill Algeo here. I'm not playing his money line, but I think he's the rightful favorite.
So you like maybe that decision prop, or would you rather do a round 3 decision, or parlay him, or what's the best?
No, I honestly at this point I'm waiting for other props to open, but I'm probably gonna hit some type of prop on this fight. I'm not.
I like that.
I'm just not gonna lay. I do have him in a parlay. I'm just not laying 238 straight. The variance of Bill is not the best. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to hit a prop here, depending
that.
on what pops up.
I like it. All right. Well, if you guys haven't done the right thing so far, you have plenty of time to do the right thing. So go ahead, throw a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll spare you the rest of the song and dance. Let's keep it moving. We got Chidi Chidi Bang Bang in Jokuwani versus Reese Skeletor McKee. Oh, man, we got a classic. Another one. If this fight doesn't end with Chidi and under 1.5, my God, what are we going to see as the fight continues? I mean, this guy, how many times has Chidi been finished in his career? How many times have we seen him give up? Now at the UFC level, it's like Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez. It's Mikhail Algeo with the huge body shots. And now Chidi cutting down to 170. Is he even going to actually make the weight? He used to kill himself to get there. Now the guy that quits and gives up all the time, he's cutting down the extra, not 10, but 15 pounds here to get down and fight Skeletor. Now, the thing about Reese McKee is like the white Korean zombie is basically the way that they're describing him in his last fight against Angelosa. And sure enough, he's getting absolutely obliterated for like 2 rounds. And then here comes actually, I mean, okay, let's be serious. What happened was Angelosa comes out hot. All of a sudden, the significant strike total is even by the end of round 1. So I know Reese almost gets finished, but he gets back out. He's putting on a little bit of a pace. And then as we get to round 3, I mean, we see Angelosa like running away from him around the octagon to avoid being finished in the last few minutes. Why can't that be Chitty Chitty Bang Bang if we get to round even the end of round 1?
Because he'd be asleep by then because he'll quit before then. That's why. But that's exactly your point.
Yeah,
it's Chitty. It's Chitty. Chitty needs the bang bang. Chitty needs a round 1 nuke. Chitty needs a round 1 nuke, or he's gonna quit because he has no heart. He's got no durability. He doesn't push through. I mean, he lost that split to Duraev. I mean, it's been bad performance after bad performance from Chitty. I mean, the Gregory Rodriguez fight. I mean, he's got Hobocop dead to rights. His face is open up. I mean, you could see his skull. And you can't put him away. He's got no cardio. And Reese McKee, as much as we love to talk shit about Skeletor, I mean, he's lost 3 decisions and been finished twice, right? And then one of the finishes is Khamzat Chimaev. And the second UFC loss is to Alex Morono. So you lose to Khamzat Chimaev and Alex Morono and they chuck you on your ass? I don't think that's necessarily fair. The Angelosa fight, obviously, not fantastic, but like you said, survive round 1 at Chitty Bang Bang, and you got yourself a damn fight. This line crashed, to use Narco Cops terms. I got in on this line, and I didn't even get the highest point of it. I got McKee at plus 164. I mean, market wide is plus 120. And they know exactly what we know, is Chitty's got 1 round to nuke this guy, or it's going to get really ugly. So, I mean, if you like Chitty, play Chitty round 1. But if you like McKee or not sure, I like that over 1.5 at plus 100. So that's
what you got cooking here, Narco.
That's what I'm
so I already have a bet here, actually. So here's the thing with this fight. When you look at it for skill, it's not even close. Like it's like somebody's a 10, the other guy's a 2, right?
Yeah.
Skill for skill. It's insanely like one-sided. And
there's a 10 and there's a 2, but you've been on a cold streak and you've had a few extra drinks and the bar's closing. The 10's not really interested, but the 2 is.
Yeah, there you go.
The 2 could go all night. You know what I'm saying?
That could definitely happen with a few drinks, but here's the thing. I don't know why this guy's going down to 70. I have no freaking clue. And I did homework on this. I don't know if you guys did, but this guy's missed weight like 7 or 8 times at 170. I'm like, what in the God's green earth is this guy doing back at 70? Like,
he's not going to make it.
You were in your 20s doing this and you were missing weight. Why do you think at 35, 36 you can make the weight all of a sudden? And it's like there's articles out there saying, he got really sick. He almost fainted. All this other stuff he's talking about, how his health completely deteriorated when he cut down to 70. Now all of a sudden he's fighting at 70 at the ripe age of 30, whatever, right?
36.
It makes no sense to me, but maybe there's some things brewing over there. I don't know what's going on. It's a really awkward move, to be honest. He's going to be a monstrous 70-pounder, honestly. And he's a big 85er. I don't understand this move whatsoever, but there's got to be something brewing in the back room. And with that being said, minus 140 on a guy's skill level that's a million times better, and a guy that can kill him definitely in round one, on a guy that won't be killed in round one for sure from McKee, it's like, okay, I'm going to bet 142, and the outcome is probably he's going to kill him, in my opinion. And if not, I get an easy live bet on McKee at probably a nice big plus money number when he's getting teed off on in round one. And I could gauge what Chidi looks like in round two. Maybe he's dead. Okay, no problem. I'll bet McKee at, 250 at that point. But pre-flop, I mean, I know a lot of people are McKee, but why, guys? Why don't you wait on this fight? Because McKee can absolutely, I know he's tough. Don't get me wrong. He's a tough guy. But name me these guys that he's fought that are snipers or killers like fucking Chidi is in round one. Who? Angelus is not a killer.
No,
and he almost had him out of there, right?
Just Chimaev who killed him.
And he killed him, right? Yeah. The one guy that's a killer killed him. This is another killer he's facing. And most likely, in my opinion, he's going to get killed. I mean, I can't even imagine if they're in the clinch, what's going to happen to this guy in the clinch. He's going to eat knees and absolutely destroy him, or elbows. And it's like, it's mind-boggling that this line keeps coming down. I didn't have a bet on him, by the way, Chidi. I don't trust him at like minus 190. But when this line came down to 140, I'm like, what is going on here? Everybody's on McKee. I'm like, I have to bet him because, dude, like McKee's a punching bag on the feet. He's facing a sniper. Everybody's going to look at Mikkel fight. Mikkel has a million times more power than McKee has. And he's just as durable, if not more durable than him. So it's like, all right, I got to play Chidi here. Like, it is what it is. Yeah, the 170 is concerning, but fuck, skill for skill. Like, this is not even close.
Yeah, Chidi in round one, plus 185 right now. Chidi in under 1.5 is plus 140. So I think that's probably where I'd pull the trigger. And I think I'm going to cash out on my McKee line movement, and I'll bet that shit live 4 minutes into the first round. And I'll take my, 20 cents profit on the McKee line movement. And then we'll go ahead.
There's some really good fights for that, honestly. This is one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not confident in Chidi, like, he's going to, he's a great bat, because the guy's cardio is so shaky. Like, I don't trust his cardio.
Yeah, I get it. And listen, I mean, he quit in glory, couldn't back him with stolen money. Yeah, listen, I mean, McKee, though, he's going to eat some punishment before he gets anywhere. That's just the fact of the matter. So you're going to get a chance to enter live at plus 400 or better. Like, that's just like, I can't guarantee anything better in life than that right now. I know Chidi's going to come out hot. So the question is what happens after that first 2.5 minute barrage? And maybe within 60 seconds could be a fun one. And then you just start fucking shoveling money live onto McKee, like Skeletor, bring it home. If he doesn't die immediately, listen, if he dies, he dies. I get it. Good call, Narco. I like that idea. That's a good one. All right, we're moving on. We've got Nate the Train. Look at this bicep landwear in the UFC versus Jamal Pretty Boy Emers. Minus 192 on Emers, plus 160 on Nate the Train. It's just how many times could the guy take a beating and keep coming back is my question. And I think Nate Landwehr, it's like we've gotten to the point where you've taken the beatings, and I mean, a lot of other fights could have stopped. A lot of other refs could have stopped that David Onama fight. Like, if we're going to be serious about what we witnessed in that comeback and an ultimate draw, and Ludovic Klein, classic gasser, and if it doesn't go his way, that's kind of what happens. So Jamal Emers here, if we go and investigate, I mean, he's probably one of the most disappointing prospects from like an athletic versus what he's produced standpoint. But at the same time, I mean, not having the fight IQ or footwork to be able to grapple against Giga Chikadze early in the fight, that could be excusable. You know, he hurts Pat Sabatini badly, and then being like, oh, well, I didn't wrestle in the past, and like jumping in, and then, oh God, playing for leg locks. Like, that's not ideal, but like, I don't think Nate's like a high class grappler like that per se, right? Like, I think he's a grit and grind guy. I think he's a tough wrestler, but I think the athleticism of Emers, like, listen, the Jack Jenkins fight, that's a matter of like a young guy, like somehow getting kind of a robbery nod there. I mean, I thought Emers did enough to get that decision. So once again, I mean, if you want AIDS, go ahead and parlay with Guru. You got minus 192 Emers, and you got minus whatever Bruno Silva, and you could maybe have a good time. You can get some plus money on that. But at the end of the day, we're probably looking at, can Nate sustain through the damage? Because it looks like Jamal's coming out hot these days. He's got the athleticism advantage, and by God, does he have the size and reach advantage? So it could get ugly and real fast for Nate. So I'm not necessarily sure on like any over/under props. But listen, if Jamal fades, like it's gonna get ugly and like real fast. So I love the under 2.5 here at plus 114. I don't think like surviving Dan Ige at the very end of the round as you're getting knocked down, like
He got knocked down so many times in that fight, man.
Yeah, and Jamal Emers, like, say what you want, but coming out and actually like putting a stamp on Bazookia like that, like fast, I gotta come away and be like, you know what? Like, that's the athleticism and aggression that I want to see in this fight. Now, my other question is like, is it aggression or aggressiveness? Because I always get upset when I hear people say like aggressiveness. I'm an aggression guy. I feel like that's the proper way to put it, but I could be wrong. Anyways, sorry for the grammar question, but what do you got, Nate or Jamal?
I don't really appreciate the aggressiveness of your question. But listen, I think that Nate Landwehr has been in too many wars. He's taking too much damage. I think Jamal Emers' physicality, his general athleticism, his size, the age difference. I mean, I think all these things add up. I do kind of like, and not for nothing, I think if it was even just straight up on the feet, Jamal Emers wins. He was hanging with Giga Chikadze and things of that nature, right? Don't underestimate his striking. But at the same time, right, if he starts to it's true. But if he starts to wrestle, right, he starts to grapple, right? I think he's got a clear edge. And I think he showed that he can use it. It's the problem, like you said, TV, is whether he uses it enough or not, right? Maybe a questionable fight IQ. But I do like him here, and I think he gets it done. I'm looking over on Bet365 because most of these books don't have props up yet for these fights or down the card. But you can get Jamal Emers in the under 2.5 at plus 210. So it's what we call a little same game parlay. So why not? What do you think, Narco?
Yeah, good fight. I mean, I guess I don't have a great read on these two fighters, to be honest. Like looking at my history on both of them, not really great in choosing a side. I did lay the hammer on Emers' last fight at like minus 200, I think, range. I just thought is like a clear, like huge step up for Bazooka and a huge step down for Emers. So, it was kind of an easy bet for me at that price. But now you get a guy, Nate Landwehr, who is extremely tough. He's extremely durable, has great cardio, will keep coming, has very good takedown defense. And he's fighting a guy in Jamal Emers who I think has all the tools, honestly. He's got good grappling. He's got very good striking, has all the athleticism. But for whatever reason, like he tends to kind of fight close, right? In a lot of these fights. And I'm not talking about the Bazooka fight. I'm talking about, the fights prior to that, right? Even against Ashkabov, who I don't think is very good. It was kind of a back and forth fight early. He wasn't really pulling away until later in that fight. So, then, against Sabatini, he's going heel hook against Sabatini. It's like, what are you doing, dude? What on God's green earth are you doing? You just drop the guy and you decide, let me grapple with this guy. Like, what are you doing? So it's like IQ is kind of a question. The Jack Jenkins fight, I think it was extremely close, honestly. I don't mind, Emers winning that fight or Jenkins. But Jenkins, like, he destroyed his legs too in that fight. Like, Jenkins just a huge calf kicker, right? Nate does throw calf kicks. They're just not like that. So I kind of lean Emers here, but I'm more on the over, to be honest. I think this fight probably goes because, and it's hard to get Nate out of there. It's, I understand Emers comes out hot and stuff, but Nate to me is a tough guy. Onama hurt him pretty bad, but I kind of think Onama hits harder than Emers, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, Emers is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. And I do think he wins this fight. I just think it's probably going to be a little bit closer than maybe this line indicates. So I'm kind of leaning on overs. Maybe I'm going to look at decision props here. I don't know yet, but yeah, I don't really have a strong take on this, to be honest. I don't.
That's fair.
I think that's totally fair.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Rob Schneider. We've got Vina Janjiroba Kakara versus Luque Godinez. What is that alley in there? What the hell happened?
What the hell did you do?
I don't even know what happened there, to be honest with you. That wasn't even planned or anything. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, we could write Lupe.
Lupita Godinez. I don't know what the fuck is happening here. I would like to apologize. TB's letting it down on the nicknames here. But we got plus 180 on the Rob Schneider side. We got, minus 218 on the I lost to Jessica Penne side.
Why are you disrespecting Rob Schneider like that?
Why are you, I don't know. I'm doing what I do. But we got, listen, ultimately, I think Lupe is just someone that tends to fight close with, solid competition. She can't really put a stamp on fights against people that can compete with her. Watching the Tabitha Ricci fight, it seemed like at points like she's hurting her, she's pulling away, and somehow a judge ends up scoring it the other way. And watching live in attendance, there's plenty of times it's like, oh my God, did Ricci just like hurt her? Or, watching the fight back, like it makes me a little upset at times. Like Vina, she's very, very athletic, very strong, but she's very slow in the striking. I think she probably gets beat up on the feet here, but the reach advantage, the grappling advantage, and Lupe just not being able to really like put together combos without eating something in return. So maybe the looping overhand from Vina is actually able to land here and cause a little disruption. You see Angela Hill having a little bit of success rolling into some late takedowns, but Lupe goes into that fight hurt. So, man, I can't feel confident on a minus 218 Lupe when she's facing. I think that Vina is a tougher fighter than Ricci from a size perspective. I think Ricci could be at a lower weight class potentially, if they offered that in the UFC. But, Virna, I don't know, something about her is giving me the agita versus Lupe here. I just feel like Lupe's going to give up a back take at some point. I feel like she can be touched in the boxing, even though she should have more volume. And, overall, I don't think that Virna can submit Lupe. I don't think she necessarily finishes her, but could she not make it closer than it's supposed to be? So if you're getting a minus 218 and the over 2.5 is a minus 315, are we expecting Lupe to just sit in top control safely for at least 10 minutes?
I don't. I think you're misreading how the fight's supposed to play out. I honestly think that there's a fair amount. First off, Lupe's takedown defense is not bad at all. She's fairly athletic. So I think she's actually, if she has this fight on any sort of decent approach, she's not even going to try to grapple. I honestly, what I've seen from her grappling is she does seem to use it on a game plan basis. Throw the Angela Hill fight out of there. Like you said, injured. So like versus, what's her face? Versus Ducote, she doesn't use any takedowns. But versus Elise Reed, she's all over them. She's picking and choosing when she wants to use them. And I think that's smart. And it shows that her striking is actually really not bad. I think her striking is better than Virna Jandiroba's, despite the reach advantage. So if you can stuff some takedowns and beat her up on the feet, maybe she does lose round one with grappling. Then you can get Lupe at plus money, and I think she wins rounds 2 and 3. I think she starts to clean up as as Virna gets tired. Virna loses round 3 to Marina Rodriguez, who has the takedown defense of a wacky and waving inflatable arm flailing tube man blow up doll.
Jesus.
There's no takedown defense there. So, and she still struggles with it. So I like Luque, but I don't like minus 218. So maybe wait for a live entry. Maybe Luque late, but I don't know. I think it's a guaranteed decision, to be quite honest with you. What do you think, Narco?
Yeah, I mean, one girl's the grappler. You know, they're both really grapplers, but Luque doesn't want to grapple here, right? Virna wants to get the fight to the ground. Her wrestling is, I want to say, okay. Like, she's a good single leg, and then somehow she traps your legs, and, you know, she gets the fights to the ground somehow. You know, I don't think her wrestling is all that good. She does seem a little physical for WMMA, but, you know, her entries are not the best, I would say. The other thing I think is pretty important here, honestly, if this wasn't the case, I would probably bet Virna, but, you know, she pulled out of her last fight, and I don't know if you guys know, but she had surgery on both knees. And this is literally probably the 6th or 7th surgery she's had on her knees. You could go back and look. She's had a ton of surgeries on her knees. She is pushing 36. You need your knees to wrestle and grapple. And you know, this surgery was like 7 months ago. 7, probably 8 months ago. So I don't really trust her to proactively grapple here and get the takedown, just because, you know, I have an issue with that. You know, knee problems. She's facing actually a good wrestler, a good defensive wrestler, a girl that's pretty strong. That's part of the reason I can't play her here. But I also don't want to play Luque at this price, to be honest, because it's like one takedown might be the round, and I can't lay minus 218 if that's the case, right? The one thing I will say is, and if you guys want to look at it, Virna has looked atrocious in round 3s. I'm telling you guys. And a knockout is coming. I don't know if it's this fight, but it's definitely coming. She's going to get finished in one of these round 3s because it's over and over again. She's looked like absolute dog shit in round 3. And as she's climbing up in age, it's probably going to get worse and worse. So, this might be the fight. This might not be the fight, but man, she's getting hurt by Dern very bad in round 3. Who was the other girl that Arribas almost knocked her out in round 3? Yeah, I think that's coming. I just don't know which fight it's going to be, but it's a pass for me on the money line. If I had to play anybody, I'd probably play the younger Luque here, and all the injury concerns on Virna.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like you have to pick Luque here and stay safe from a money line perspective. Love it. We got me and Julio down by the schoolyard, Arce versus Herbert the Blaze Burns. This is the first double TB nickname fight of the card. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But realistically, I don't know how, but Herbert Burns is the older guy here. He's also the clearly gassier guy. But you got Arce moving up weight, coming off of a, you know, I guess like ultimately disappointing that he loses to Montel and he gets dropped at one point. But I mean, Montel's a tough fight. So minus 395 Arce. Oh, God. All right. Well, they're already onto it because plus 310 Burns. His legitimate only path to victory is submission in round 1 or less. So, you know, if you want to play around with the plus 310 dog, that's probably the way to do it, is to just take his round 1 sub. I guess he got a round 1 knockout versus Landwehr with that flying knee. So, listen, it's disgusting no matter what, but Arce and over half a round because he's going to kill him at some point once Burns gasses out. That's the pick.
What kind of play is that?
What?
What do you mean Arce and over half a round? What is
yeah,
that?
I mean, what kind of play is Arce at minus 395?
About?
He's going to kill the guy. He's going to kill the guy.
So then Arce might finish. What are you talking about?
Oh, great. So what? We get minus 200 instead of minus 395?
Dude,
Congratulations.
I mean, come on.
Like, there's no fucking bet on this fight. I'm being facetious. I did it in under a minute. Go ahead. Give me the bet. Give me the bet.
I got you. Don't you worry. You play Arce. You play the round props, dude. It's Arce in round 2 or round 3.
And then what if he kills him? What if he kills him with 1 minute left in round 1?
I don't think he will. I think it takes some time. I think Arce's older. I think it takes some time to get settled in. And I think Herbert Burns is going to try to fight for at least a little bit. He's got like some decent grappling. And when was the last time Arce fought anybody that's like actually wants to grapple him? It's been a minute. So yeah, I do like Arce by finish. I just like Burns. If you even are touching this fight, which you probably shouldn't be, you have to. If you're on Arce side heavy, you have to take a hedge on Burns round 1 sub, or just the sub in general, because I
2
mean,
inches taller, 3-inch reach.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's been a long layoff for both of them, which means nobody gets an advantage in that sense. And Herbert Burns has 7 round 1 finishes, 5 rear naked chokes.
Does he make weight?
That's one thing. And then you're like, oh, well, Julio Arce's only been subbed 1 time and he's all right. Yeah, you know who subbed him? My man Boom Kelleher on Ring of Combat. So I don't know. Would you be that surprised to watch Julio Arce shit the bed in his hometown? He's from here, from New Jersey, Ring of Combat, New Jersey, Atlantic City-based promotion. There's a ton of Atlantic City, CFC, CFFC, New Jersey guys on this card. He's one of them. So, yeah, you tell me, Narco.
Yeah, man. Arce 395 for Christ's sake. What are we doing in 2024, man?
Dude, he was minus 800 to what's his face before he finished him in round 3, Julian Rosa. He was minus 800 to Julian Rosa.
Yeah, and did he look great in that fight?
It's maybe 1-1, maybe 2-0 going into 3 where he
I mean, he didn't look like a minus 800.
No,
but
no, he played with him on the feet for round 1.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I do think Arce is going to win this fight. Obviously, you know, he's a minus 400. But like Herbert Burns, I see like the recency bias, and he looked like shit. And to be honest, in that fight, I don't know if you guys know, but he tore his knee in that fight. That it says exhaustion. He could not he tore his ACL. And he said, I tore my ACL, so I just flopped to the ground. Like I couldn't really even get up. So, you know, he's had multiple surgeries, I guess he said, and he's been gone for a long time. But so has Arce. Arce had ACL surgery recently, and that's why he's been gone. So it's a battle of the ACL surgeries here.
Who had the better surgeon?
I don't know. That's the question, and that's where I'm getting to. No, the one thing with Burns is historically, right? Whether he is, you know, you want to call him a quitter or whatever you want to call him, you know, he's gasser, right? He is extremely fucking dangerous in round 1, no matter how you slice it. Like the guy's jiu-jitsu is on a different level. Even that fight, if it's not Algeo, right? If it's not this crazy dog, he might get like 90% of the people get triangled there. Like he had the arm across, the triangle was deep, but Algeo is just such a crazy dog that he got out of it and eventually finished him. I mean, the guy is dangerous early, so I don't know. I took a shot at like 375 on Herbert Burns, just a small shot. I don't trust the guy, obviously. That's why I took a small shot. But I don't know. It just feels wrong that Arce's minus 400 in 2024, man. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't really have, you know, Burns is 36, Arce is 34. But for as long as he lives in that ring, Herbert Burns is going to be dangerous with the grappling. So if he can get a body lock takedown and get on top of him, it's going to get very, very hairy for Julio Arce. And I know he's a black belt, but also black belts shouldn't get guillotined by Brian Boom Kelleher.
Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. Tiger Schulman, stand up. So we got I like that idea, man. I feel like, you know, you have to earn your chalk, and I don't see where we exactly did here. We got Dennis the Bazooka.
So what you're saying is you don't want Arce in an AIDS parlay.
That's what you're saying. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you. Right. We've got the Bazooka versus the Controller. Connor Matthews. I mean, is there a worse nickname for a guy that's like not even the dominator, the smasher, the ground and pounder? He's literally
No,
just
dude, you don't know anything, and it's in
No,
our
I don't
notes.
know
And this is
anything. Go
why I
ahead.
hate you. He's
Yeah,
an
of
Air
course.
Force. He's a former U.S. Air Force combat controller. So he's the controller.
Still,
he's the controller. What do you mean? It's his
I
job.
don't. It's not his job anymore. He's a fucking UFC fighter.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And you don't score points for control anymore, Guru. That's all you ever talk about. So
that's very true.
So all right, let me tell you something. Bazookia going from Jamal Emers to Connor Matthews is like, I don't think it gets any more like egregious of a step down in athleticism and danger on the other side. I mean, Connor Matthews, he was a gigantic underdog to Fahiash. And that's like a fight nerds guy, someone that was coming off a 4-year layoff and then has a first-round knockout. Then they go to contenders. They bring Matthews back there. Come on, buddy. We'll give you another chance. We know you got wrestled in your first fight, but we'll give you another shot here. And then he goes out there, and I mean, Fahias is gassed out within like 4 minutes of that fight. I got to give it to Matthews. He had the better cardio in that spot. But then at the end of round 3, he damn near is dead himself.
Yeah, he doesn't
like,
have a good cardio.
No, oh my God. Like, he is almost knocked out by this guy that was nearly dead himself just a mere 5 minutes earlier. So ultimately in this spot, I don't think Matthews is finishing Bazookia. Mm-hmm. I think it more kind of looks like the fight that Bazookia had on Contender Series where, he's probably landing some of the bigger shots and then the guy goes to try to control him. He's like, I got to stuff takedowns against the cage. But, I do have a concern here is that maybe Bazookia doesn't have enough volume in this spot versus Matthews. Like Matthews could just win on overall wrestling and striking volume if you can't finish him. But I do like this fight to go the distance. I don't think either guy's necessarily going to get a finish here, but I do like Bazookia. I think, having the UFC experience in this spot, and, I mean, both guys came off contenders, but at least Bazookia has been shown the octagon a couple of times. Like Sean Woodson took him on a tour this way and that way. And then Jamal Emers showed him what it was like to be finished by round 1 knockout. So at least he's gotten an idea of what it's like to get his feet wet. And I feel like Matthews, he's another one of those guys that's just kind of in the UFC because the UFC signs every Dana White's Contender Series winner at this point. Then again, they could just sign you when they need a short notice opponent like they did with Dennis Bazookia. So it's kind of gross here, but I'll take Bazookia, and I like him by decision.
Yeah, I definitely lean the Bazookia side, but I think the bet I like the most is, even though it is a little chalky, I do like the over in this fight, and I like it a lot. I think both guys are fairly durable. Bazookia's problems are sometimes his good things, if that makes any sense. Like, he's just kind of too patient, and sometimes it can lead to him not having enough output. In the last fight, he just gets floored by a guy that's bigger and more explosive than he is, and something he hasn't seen before. And like you said, TV, I think it is a major step down, or even 2 steps down with Connor Matthews here. This is literally a fight you could expect to see at CFFC. And what do you know? Dennis Bazookia fought CFFC, has fought in Atlantic City before. So he'll feel fairly comfortable here. He'll have Matt Frivola in his corner. I just think it'll be a little bit of a hometown vibe for him. And I do think he gets the job done, like you said, TV, via decision. So I am taking Dennis Bazookia. What do you think, Narco Cop?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side here, man. I took some Connor Matthews plus 110. New England cartel guys, they're all extremely freaking tough, man. Like all these guys, you just look at every single one of them. Cater. What's the other guy's name? Fuck. Why am I drawing blank? Font. Matthews. They're just known for extreme toughness, man. And Connor Matthews is right there with them, man. If you watch Jair Farias, who's from the Fighting Nerds, I mean, that guy's an absolute sniper. I mean, he has big power. And he landed so many flush shots, man, on Connor Matthews. I couldn't believe he was taking some of those. And I thought for sure Farias was going to finish him. But, man, he just tough as hell, came forward. The one thing that I wanted to see from him is improved cardio. And I saw it in that fight because that fight was an absolute war for 3 rounds. So I saw the cardio. I saw him grappling. I think he's the much better boxer, in my opinion, between these 2 guys. And, to me, Bazooka, like I'm watching Bazooka against that wrestler guy in Dana White's Contender Series. I forgot the guy's name. He had 0 striking. And he was literally gassed after 1 round, that one dude. And Bazooka couldn't finish this guy. It was something, it was a sight to see. Like, I'm like, how is this guy not finishing this guy? And the guy couldn't even freaking breathe. And yet Bazooka somehow couldn't finish him. And you know, I'm not even taking much out of the last fight where, you know, Jamal Emers just teed off on him and finished him. It is what it is. I do think Bazooka is tough, but also like Dennis Bazooka is like losing grappling to, you know, Sean Woodson. I mean, that's kind of a suspect thing. I mean, he's not beating anybody in the regionals. Like, I mean, basically all these guys are not good fighters that he's beating, you know? I'm not going to say Connor Matthews is beating good fighters, but I will say that Jair Farias is probably better than all these fighters combined, in my opinion. So it's like, I do think he's beat the better fighter. I do think he's beat a very, very dangerous fighter. And a guy that, you know, will give you problems because he's really long for the division and he hits hard. And so with that being said, I just feel like Connor Matthews might be even better everywhere here. That might be the better striker, might be the better grappler. So, and I think he's definitely the more dangerous guy, the better finisher here. So, I'm going to take Connor Matthews at plus money here. Like, I mean, the guy's a dog himself. I know people are, you know, kind of like building up Dennis Bazooka as a dog, but how about Connor Matthews? The guy's a dog. I mean, just watch his Contender Series fight. You'll know that the guy's a dog. So, yeah, man. I mean, there's not much else to say. I'm kind of like picking a side here where there's questions on both sides. From tape, I do think Connor Matthews is the better overall MMA fighter.
Yeah. I don't know. Losing the decision to Francis Marshall, I don't necessarily love, but you know, and then Dennis Bazooka, you know, again, like he fared fairly well against Sean Woodson, and I just don't know how well Connor Matthews would do in that type of spot. But styles make matchups.
Yep. We're moving on. Oh my God. Got the last Ottoman, Ibo Aslan versus the Pleasure Man.
The rematch that everyone's been clamoring for.
I mean, when you watch back their first fight, you want to talk about disgusting. I mean,
there's a lot of heat here, guys. Like this is actually going to be, this is low key could be banger of the night. Like they actually have a history where they don't like each other.
Yeah, and I mean, when you watch how that fight finished, I mean, Aslan is like, he is donezo. He is toasty. Like he is running away essentially as he's hurt and tired, gassed out. I mean, round 1, he's putting it on him. He's landing his own takedowns, but with about 45 seconds to a minute left, Aslan just kind of like is stuck in the mud. And right before the bell, like Turkali lands a couple shots and you're like, oh, wow, the fight's changing. And then round 2, Aslan comes out again. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, he gets the takedown. He's looking okay. I understand why this fight is priced the way it is that Aslan had so many moments of success. And now that you've seen the chin cracked of Turkali, I mean, does it just continue that way? Now, Tyson Pedro, you can kind of see where he was at as a fighter in his last matchup versus our old friend Bobby Petrino. But I think I got to go Aslan here. And I know minus 130, I'd rather take Aslan and under 1.5. I think Turkali at this point, like he's relying on his chin a bit too much for a bit too long. And when facing Aslan in this spot, I think he's going to do what's necessary to finish the job this time. He does mix it up with calf kicks and strikes up top, and Turkali he's looked progressively worse and worse in each matchup. I don't think I've seen him make an improvement. Like the Almeida fight, all right, I'm willing to give him a pass, but I mean, then you watch him just get obliterated fight after fight, and maybe he doesn't get finished in his first time getting obliterated by Petrino, but then after that, as he continues on in his career, I mean, geez, man, I just get the feeling
the Tyson Pedro fight, the Tyson Pedro knockout's a bad look. Once you finally crack that chin like that, you may never be the same. Ibo Aslan was beating the crap out of him in that first matchup. Totally quits. I really do like Ibo to get it done in round 1. He's got 12 knockouts. He's got 12 wins, 12 knockouts, and 11 round 1 finishes. So take Ibo Aslan round 1 KO, because if not, as soon as it gets to the stool, try to place a bet on Anton because Ebo won the round, I'm sure, and he's probably going to gas out because I have no idea. Can't really trust him. But what I will say is that he is close with Roman Dolidze, and because of that closeness, he did finish up his camp here at Extreme Couture. And I do love when Eric Nixick is involved. So if he's been in Vegas and is training at Extreme Couture for the last, 3 weeks of the camp here, I like that a lot. So give me Ivo Oslan. I got him at -110. Well, what do you got there, Narco?
Yeah, man. Why are they even making this fight? That's my first thing that came up. It's like, okay,
because it's a rematch.
eBay looked good on Dana White's Contender Series. He's at Extreme Couture. Anton is a throwaway for the UFC. They don't really give a shit about this guy. The only thing that makes sense is they're trying to build this Ebo guy, honestly. And when you listen to Ebo, he said, I listened to his interview. He said he took the fight on short notice against Anton the first time. And he said he had the worst weight cut of his career. So he kind of went for broke in the first round. He said, I tried to get him out of there. And he gassed. I mean, he said he gassed. I don't know how much to trust what he said because I do think his cardio is shaky. But I saw him go 3 rounds against Robert Valentin, and it was a pretty high-paced fight. And he finished Valentin in round 3. I mean, the skill level is pretty big, man. Ebo's a much better striker. He can even probably take down Anton, to be honest. And I think he did, if I'm not mistaken, in that first fight. Yeah. But he just looks more powerful. I mean, he's got way more power on the feet. He's a better striker. I think he's more polished now as well. You could see he kind of takes his time a little bit more. Yeah, man. I like the Aslan side. I don't have a bet, but he's probably the rightful side, man. At like almost pick him. Anton, the only way Anton wins is if he breaks him later. He's not winning in round 1. He's not finishing in round 1. If he finishes, it's probably 2 or 3 or a decision. But all the finishing equity early is Ebo. So you're getting -130. I don't think it's a bad line, honestly.
I agree. And this is another one of those spots you were talking about where you should be smashing the lot bet as the fight gets deeper. Just if you wanted to take the Turkali side, why would you do it before the fight? It just wouldn't make sense to me. So yeah, Ivo Aslan, he should do it clearly, and let's hope he does. I mean, this could be a God's gift line in hindsight. -130 in his debut. This is the type of things that dreams are made of. This is like betting what was her name? Lesbos versus Jessica Rose Clark. You know what I mean? Like, you only get these opportunities every once in a while, and people
Lisboa
that are like, no, this is Lesbos is what we were going for. So we got Geodude, Victoria Dudakova versus Melissa. Fucking Andre Lima's nickname is there still. My God, I'm doing terrible this week. Versus Melissa the Cat Gatto. That's her last name translates to cat. So yeah, I fucked up. But Geodude, I got that one in, so that one counts. That's a cool one. But listen, Dudakova here moving up weight, moving to 125, probably forced to do so.
Why is she Geodude?
Dude. She's Dudakova. What do you want from Russia with love again? Or
I thought you thought because she looks like Geodude. I'm like, that's mean.
No, it's because her last name literally starts with dude. So
I got it.
I figured you're a Pokemon fan. You would dig it, but apparently you're just, I don't know. You're killing me. Anyways, Geodude here moving up to 125 after missing weight against Jinyu Fry. Estela Nunes fight. Why did I go back and watch Estela Nunes' arm pop out for no reason? It's a question to be determined the answer to for another day. But Dudakova, I mean, she gives up the most disgusting, well-timed takedown to Jinyu Fry. And that wouldn't be the most concerning if she didn't proceed to give up like a disgusting amount of top control afterwards. Like, she shows that, I mean, to me, she's nearly a 0 off bottom. And while she might be able to stuff a takedown if she knows it's coming, like Melissa Gatto's back takes, like her work from bottom, even if Dudakova is the one successfully landing takedowns, I don't think she's necessarily safe from bottom. I don't rate her grappling from that perspective. I think against some fighters that she had an advantage against, she's been able to look better against. But when you see the way that Melissa Gatto is getting into certain positions against Tracy Cortez, and this isn't a fighter with the athleticism of an Ariane Lipski. Like Lipski, her defensive like wrestling just ability to avoid takedowns after the way her early career looked, like she's learned a lot apparently, because I mean, Melissa Gatto, I thought that was going to be a huge advantage for her in that fight. And quite frankly, like all the volume that they're talking about her landing in that fight and the stats that they show, when you go and look at the official stats after, like, it's just not true. It's just way too close of a fight. And it's a split decision in Lipski's favor. I don't think Dudakova is that good on the feet, and I don't think she's that good on the mat. I think minus 162 is going to be a hindsight gigantic mistake from the books here. But I've been wrong before.
But here's my question, right? Do you think that Gatto can win a decision, or do you think she gets a finish?
It could be either one. I think she's live for it either way, because she could control. If Dudakova just decides to stay safe and avoid,
she only has 2 decision wins in her whole career.
It's more than 0. So, I mean, listen, she can get to control positions, and I don't think, like, Dudakova loses around on all 3 scorecards to Jinyu Fry because she's giving up bottom control and not trying to get up. So if she doesn't try to get up versus Gatto and is just playing a closed guard and not letting her advance position, but Gatto has Cortez in 2 armbar attempts in 2 rounds, and in the 3rd round landing a back take, and in the 2nd round landing a back, and this is all Tracy Cortez. I don't imagine how she doesn't do it against someone that should be finding a way to cut down to 115 and do it over here.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like Gatto, I guess, then by finish, and I can get the under at plus 260. Gatto and the under at plus 260.
Yeah. So I like that too, because it totally makes sense. I think that there could be some value, especially that it's plus money inside. I don't think Gatto is getting finished, but I think a lot of her win equity, not all of it. But shout out to you guys live in the chat. Make sure you keep it popping. Let us know your best bet. And if you haven't so far, it's not too late to do the right thing and throw a like and subscribe, because we bring on the best guests like Narco, who's so generous with his time. And who do you got in this fight, my friend?
Yeah, this is a fight I'm staying away from, man. I like this girl Dudakova's moving up in weight here. I think there will be a strength and size advantage for Gatto here. Not so much obviously the size, but she has a 2-inch reach, and I just think she's going to be the stronger girl, honestly, in the cage. But I don't know what to think of this Dudakova. I really don't like her tape, to be honest. Like, I don't think she's anything special. But Gatto is like, watching back that last fight, I mean, I can't really bet her here. Like, if she showed me a little more there in that fight, I'd definitely be on the Gatto side here. But you're fighting Lipski, and, she couldn't really get the fight to the ground. I know Lipski's fine, but there was like points of that fight that I just didn't like what I saw from Gatto. And I thought she could probably do well in the grappling there, and she really didn't do that well. So it is a bit concerning. But like Dudakova, like her tape doesn't look very good, man. Jinyu Fry fight, like Jinyu Fry is a career 105er even, right? And she looks pretty weak in that fight, to be honest, against Jinyu Fry. And I do think Melissa Gatto is much stronger than Jinyu Fry is. So, yeah, complete pass, man, here for me. I do think, like, Gatto wins this fight, but from a money line perspective, I'm passing. Over seems kind of generous. I don't know what you guys think. Like, is all the finishing equity, I feel like, is on the Gatto side. And yet the over 2.5 is only minus 200 for women's MMA at 125. It feels kind of generous, to be honest. What this fight goes in this fight? Is that like minus 150?
I don't think we have access to a book.
Okay.
We don't do offshore. So
yeah. I mean, if it's like minus 150, I might actually take a poke there, because it doesn't feel right, honestly. I think all the finishing equities on one side.
Correct. To your point, I 100% agree with that handicap. I believe the finishing equity is completely on the Gatto side.
Yeah. It's not about who the UFC is done with. It's about if they're done with the UFC. She's only 27. I don't think there's anything wrong with her. All right, we're moving on. We got Andre the Giant Petroski versus Jacob Mamba Malkoun. I didn't mess up the nickname this time. I'm so proud of myself. We've got Andre Petroski coming in. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, but the orangutan Mamba Malkoun has a equal reach here. I mean, look at that dude. He is. I mean, that is a nice bolognese on the chest over there. But
Jesus Christ.
Jacob Malkoun, he comes in. I mean, like, dude, he's got the brute strength and the grip of like legitimately an orangutan, dude. Like his arm. And the way he wraps on the single leg and rips guys, if you go and watch the Jack Slack Dummies Guide or whatever, I don't know, Casuals Guide or whatever, it's the same single leg over and over and over. It's just the way he gets you off balance and rips you laterally. It's impossible to balance. Andre Petroski, after 3 times, because listen, I mean, Malkoun does not have the best jiu-jitsu and top control. Like, just ask Brendan Allen. But he's still landing all these takedowns on Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen's a really legitimate fighter in every aspect. Andre Petroski, I think the only place he's good is when he can kind of bully guys and when he has the grappling advantage. And he might be a slightly better, like, submission grappler, but, like, Mamba Malkoun is Robert Whitaker's, like, jiu-jitsu coach. He's a very, like, watching him on the regional scene, he's putting in body triangles. Like, he's not a bad grappler that's going to be like Nick Maximoff, who's a pure wrestler. I think there's a big, like Nick Maximoff. Oh my God, that was disgusting. Like the way he just shoots in and puts his head right in the spot. And Malkoun, I think he's got what it takes here to just land enough takedowns until Petroski's gassed out. And could there be a late finish? God, I don't want to find out. But minus 238 Malkoun, I feel like if you parlay it, same game parlay Malkoun and over 4.5 minutes, Malkoun and over 1.5 rounds. I think one way or another you could get the line a lot shorter because this isn't going to look like a Cody Brundage fight. I think Petroski's going to put on more of a fight early. It's just going to be like, does he get a late finish? That's the real question. So yeah, I got Petroski. I got Petroski to go down here to the Mamba. It's going down
to the Mamba. Oh man. Yeah, I like Malkoun here as well. He cost us a ton of money last fight getting DQ'd. That was that was unfortunate. Pretty fortunate for the people that bet Cody Brundage round 1 because it's his only win condition, and then they get gifted that ticket. That's a good one. Yeah, I just kind of expect, like you said, TV, Petroski's best when he can get his submission grappling going, and he's a better, more physical guy in there, and I just don't see that here versus Malkoun. And I don't even see him having the cardio advantage either. So I do like Malkoun to get it done. Interestingly enough, Petroski has never lost by decision. And, I don't necessarily credit Malkoun as being like one of the bigger finishers, as he's got 5 decision wins and only 2 KOs. So it's like, which streak is going to give first? Will Malkoun find a finish or will Petroski lose a decision? So I'm actually very interested to see which one it'll be. Narco, what do you think?
Yeah, grappler versus grappler, right? Freaking, I like Malkoun, man. I mean, okay. So here's the thing. One guy is a little more dangerous than Petroski, that's for sure. They're both grapplers. I would give the jiu-jitsu edge to Petroski, but there's a massive, massive cardio edge for Malkoun, man. Like, that's not even close. And in a probably high-paced grappling fight, back and forth, and it's not like Malkoun's just going to settle on bottom. He's going to work to get up and try to chain his takedowns. And, Petroski, I would probably give him an edge as far as like explosion grappling and stuff like that, and more dangerous with submissions. But can he do that for 3 rounds here? Because he's going to need to be honest. This guy's not going to stop coming forward, and he's not going to stop grappling. So it's like, the line's a little bigger now, but I think Malkoun's a lot more trustworthy. That's what I'm getting to at the end of the day. I think he's a more trustworthy fighter here. He's the guy that's going to keep working. He's the guy that has the much better cardio. And, single leg trip is probably going to work again. Like, it works all the time. I don't know how it works, but it freaking works. And it's
Finish? Finish or decision?
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to finish, but it's very, very live, honestly, late. Like, But didn't Mearshart almost finish Petroski late?
Oh my God, yes.
It was. I had a bet on Petroski, and I was sweating. I'm like, no, please. So
that was me too, definitely.
yeah, my thing is here. Yeah, I do think there is a live finish late in this fight. To be honest,
Live finish late. I like that.
Love it. Love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we made it. We're at the curtain jerker. We've got Angel Diablo Pacheco versus Kowlin the Don, also known as Marvin Vittori Lochran. Now,
why did you put Marvin Vittori there?
Because you didn't notice it first, and also when you look up Kowlin
What do you mean I
Lochran's
didn't
picture,
notice it first?
when you look up Kowlin Lochran's picture, it's literally just the black background UFC guy. So I had to do what I had to do. Okay, I had to give him proper representation. So listen, he's like, they were like, well, we can't get Marvin Vittori for this Boardwalk Atlantic City card. We're gonna bring his long distant cousin from another ethnicity, Kowlin Lochran. So ultimately in this fight, and you see what I did there with Angel and Diablo is devil in Spanish, so it's like angel or devil.
No, that's terrible.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. Come on. It's great. You got to admit it's great. All right. So we got the devil or the angel versus the Don of all people. That is his actual nickname, not a TB nickname. But it's ultimately like, how bad is Angel Pacheco's takedown defense? Because if this fight is standing, there's no way he should be a plus 285. That's basically my breakdown.
100%.
So do I have to put a unit? I have to put a unit. But it could be coming to bite me back in the ass. But I feel like Lochran is purely pace, attempting to pressure, not landing enough accuracy on his strikes, and like being able to just kind of bully guys with his cardio over time. Like Pacheco's willing to get into a fucking dogfight, dude. So,
all right,
I'm willing to see it.
Here's how it works. Are you ready? This fight's super binary. You've got Pacheco, round 1, round 2, because he's got 5 round 1 finishes and 2 in round 2. After that, it's all Lochran's time. He's got 4 round 2 finishes, or he's going to get the decision. So you've got that. That's literally how you do it. You take Pacheco round 1, round 2. You take Lochran. You could take him 2, 3. I almost kind of like the decision because I think Pacheco's a beast. He showed that versus Danny Silva, who's an obvious fucking beast. So I like Angel. I like Angel's chances, but I mean, you probably take Kalen, right? It's a tough fight. The line prices you out of it, but I think I do like the over as well. So there you go. Darko, what do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean Pacheco, he got a contract because he got beat up to death. I mean, Danny Silva absolutely put a hurting on this guy, and he's tough as nails. His ear was coming off. I mean, you name it, this guy had it, and he still like stayed in there somehow. I don't know how, but like this is a pretty big mismatch in my opinion. Like Lochran's a better grappler. Lochran's has more power. Lochran is. Why do we have? Wait, hold on a second. I just caught this. Why do you guys have Marvin Vittori? I just looked over. I'm like, hold on a second.
So here's the thing: is like when you look up Kowlin Lochran UFC.com and you go to his page, it's just the blank black background of a UFC fighter silhouette. So I was like, you know what? What would be better, the black silhouette or just like Marvin Vittori? It's the same fucking guy. So,
dude, I literally looked over. The whole time I thought it was Lochran, and then I look over. I'm like, wait, that's not Lochran.
I love it.
Because that's the point. They literally look the same. That's fucking
funny.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, UFC's trying to get him a win here, in my opinion. Like last fight, it was actually very close, but don't forget the fight was in France. We had the French fighter fighting there, and he won. And I do think he won the fight, but I think it was a razor close fight. The difference is Angel Pacheco is not good defensively on the feet. I think he could get easily taken down here. What's his best attribute? I mean, he's got okay boxing and he's a freaking tough as shit. So, Lochran much younger, the better fighter everywhere, in my opinion. he should win this fight pretty easily. I just don't know if he's going to finish, though, man. Guys, I think this fight might go to distance because even though Pacheco might get taken down, I think his jiu-jitsu game and his get-up game are good. So he is a brown belt. He's not like a slouch on the ground. So, and his get-up game seems to be really good. He doesn't really settle. So, yeah, maybe a point decision for Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, I wrote fight goes the distance in my notes, and I have Lochran round 3 decision because I do just think Pacheco is super tough, and he's just going to push a pace.
And so is the Don. I mean, if you're related to Marvin Vettori, you got to have a blockhead for a chin. So
absolutely,
yeah. This fight is over 2.5 plus 100. That's a bargain, bro. Because Lochran's not going to put on the same type of knockout power that a guy like Silva has. Like I think Silva's a much more dangerous fighter, and a Pacheco, if the Diablo could stand up to that, I think he could do it here. So, ladies and gentlemen, somehow you've made it. We've done it. If you haven't done so already, please throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We got to get to 1,000 at some point here, all right? So we're grinding, we're rolling. We keep on enjoying all you guys joining us every week. And honestly, like I just love breaking down fights. Even if I'm not hitting every bet, I'm still learning. I love bringing on the absolute best in the game, like Narco Cop. Like all the guests that we have on, we're trying to learn from. And that's the thing. And it's like, it's an open conversation. How do they approach betting? What's their style? And like, what can we learn from it? And that's the most important thing I hope you guys take away from the show is to never be closed-minded when it comes to MMA because anything can happen.
Anything
can be an amazing time.
And that's why I brought on Narco Cop because we're going to the fights and we need to make sure we're on the right path to winning some money. So, Narco, thanks so much for coming on, man. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, man. Just I think everybody in chat. I always think my chat as well. I mean, without them, we probably wouldn't be doing these streams, right? We're not going to be talking to ourselves on stream. So I appreciate all of them. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Good luck this week. Have a great time out there. I'm going to UFC 300. So wish me luck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, guys, I mean, at NarcoCop on Twitter, NarcoCop MMA, YouTube. I will have a show this Friday. Lambeau Place podcast with my co-host Timothy Troiano, 9 p.m. Eastern. So if anybody wants to join, long shot props, that's what we do on that show. A little bit different, but it's actually a fun show.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on. Anytime you want to come on, you are welcome to. We love having you. You're the man. We really appreciate your time. I also appreciate my unbelievable co-host time. You can follow him, TV Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Picket, Tapology, or Bet MMA. And you can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Picket, Tapology, and Bet MMA for all of our picks, plays, thoughts, everything. Thank you guys so much. We are back next week in the lovely Apex. Wonderful, wonderful card. Can't wait. Guys, be safe out there.